Hello guys, this is Chichi here. I'm bringing you this time a video that is going to be a bit funky because my purpose here is literally to help a friend that came back to Dota recently. So imagine this person that played a bit around 2 years ago, then stopped playing, still watched a bit of the pro scene but never actually got into deepest into the game, and now he wants to come back. So basically, what I will be doing is I will be looking at the general game display here, doing some explanations that for most of you should be obvious right now. But then I will also get into the hero part better, which will help him develop his game sense. So okay, here is the main page. When you open Dota, this is what you see. You have your profile here on the top left, and you have the friends and the part where you can do your parties here. You also have some Valve content here that is not very important for us now. Your last match is here on the right. You can see what happened on your last match. And now you also have this option that's kind of a Facebook that you can actually just ignore, where your friends can type stuffs on their own profiles. Okay, but so what's more important here? If you want to ever access this menu, this general view of everything, you click this big red button right here, basically. This button will help you come here. If you want to see something on your profile, you click this, your profile, and it just immediately shows your profile. Okay, stuff that is new about this that is actually really, really good. Besides the whole person having this personalized, if you want, with these icons and whatever information you want to give about yourself, what's more interesting about this is now you have a pentagram. This pentagram basically shows you what type of games you have been playing and what type of heroes. So you get these points if you play support, for instance, because you can see my supporting is super high because I mostly play support heroes. My versatility is very low because I don't play many different heroes and that kind of stuff. If you want to just place your mouse like this and it says the number and exactly what it means, that category in specific. This is good if you want to keep a general overview of what you're doing in the game. Also some stats here, just for curiosity's sakes. Then what I would say it's most important after this is your recent games. You have them here on this tab next to this main tab. You have recent games. If you click here, you basically see all the games that you have been playing. As you can see, you can not only see a normal game like this and a ranked game, but you can also see custom games that you have played and practice games, that is bots basically. So let me just click something just so you see what it means. I click this, it loads the information of the match, basically. It's really, really good. You have here the teams. For instance, in this case, you can see here that I was a party with his friends because I'm put together with him in this nice tab way, as per saying. You have the replay here on the bottom. So if you click this, it will download you the replay of the game so you can watch it. If you want to click on yourself and you see informations about this game, you see how you did on all the things for the pentagram, the punctuation, you see your averages compared to what you've been playing on the hero before, and your level, stuff like that, as you can see. And then this is just like overview, and you can also compare yourself. For instance, let me compare myself. I can just compare myself to this player. The players are also here. So this guy, for instance, I played against him. If I want to check him, I just click on his icon. Basically, if you want to check anyone, the actual person, the player, you just click on the little icons and you will see the person. Okay, back to team view. You see it again. Back to team view. Okay, final results, times. This is the preview, the overview of the entire game. If you want, however, to see more in detail, now you can do that with the scoreboard. You click here and you will have a very good notion of what happened that game. You have your kills, your deaths, your net worth, your items. Basically, the idea behind this is everything you want to know about the game, you can know about the game here. You just check a bit, you click whatever you want to see, and over your mouse on top of stuff. That will help. For instance, if you see, I can over just on this item if I want to know something about this. I can over here on this, if I don't know what GPM is, I put my mouse here and it tells me it's gold per minute, so now I know. What is this DMG? Okay, damage done to other heroes. So now I know I did this amount of damage to other heroes. And this is very important, basically. If you want to improve in the game and realize what your mistakes were, what you can do better, exactly what happened in that game, you come here, you do some auto analysis, and it will help you a lot. You can also check the heroes builds here. So this is very cool. And you have here the graphs, which are a bit more deeper if you want to know exactly, for instance, net worth difference into the two teams, player net worth, that kind of stuff, a bit more detailed for someone that's starting, I would say, but still, you have all this information available here. And this is all just about this game, right? Now I want to come back to my profile. I've seen everything I want to know. I want to go back. You have here this very nice arrow to the left that you can just click and it goes back everything you just did, right? It's just like a normal Windows thing. However, if you want to just go to the main page to be more quick, just click here, like I told you before, and there we go again. Profile, whatever you want. Okay, so this is what you'll be using most of the time. But now I want to look deeper into these tabs. These tabs will be very helpful for you. I will leave the Heroes tab for now because I want to look to that tab more in detail. So let's very quickly look at the other ones. You have Store. Store basically has all the cosmetic items you may want to buy. And basically it's Volvo, right? So it's all here. If you want, you can check it out yourself. Watch is really good if you want to watch games that are going on right now or your own replays. So basically this shows you all the games that are going on right now, shows you some information about them. For instance, this Empire Mirana G, this is basically telling you this player from Empire G is playing this game of Mirana. There's some data from the game. Basically you look at this and you're like, interesting, I want to watch this game. Okay, you click in game and you will watch the game live right now. So this is good if you're interested in watching some higher level players play. You also have tournaments here. You can also just click this and you choose your tournament and you watch it. And finally, you have replays here, most famous replays, that kind of thing, and your own replays, which is downloads. Basically, if you downloaded the replay on the thing that I showed you again, let's see. My profile, I came here, recent games, I click on this game, I will click here on replay and it will download the replay and then it will be available precisely here. We'll watch downloads and it should be available somewhere here. And you can just click watch and then you will watch your own game. We're not going to look into that in more detail, but if you want to see also your mistakes, what could you have been done better, watch the enemy, the way they behave, where they words, that kind of thing, you just come here. Okay, and now the other thing that will be very useful for you, it's this learn. This learn page is also new. It was made with Reborn Dota, and basically you can here play this mechanics little beta game, let's say, where you can learn stuff like last hitting, what a tower is, that kind of thing. And you have guided bot matches where you play the bot match and it gives you this little information what you are doing. This will help you a lot also. I would suggest everyone that's new or that wants to come back to Dota to just actually come here and do this. It doesn't take that much time. It's actually funny. Most people think that bot games aren't funny. That is a lie. You can pick whatever hero you want. You can see how the bots behave and control them a bit yourself. So it's really interesting, and I would do that before I went into an actual game, just to take a taste of it. There's also another option, what would be arcade. Arcade now has this, which is called the custom games. Basically, these are games that are not exactly Dota. These are completely different games, mini games that were made most of the times by users and that are important into here now. If you want to play any of this, you just click whatever. You read I don't know exactly where. Okay, here, about. You hear the bit of the description of the game. You can look at the screenshot, see if this sounds good to you, and you just try it. Go ahead. You click on download here and then play, and you get it. And it's a good way for you to get back a bit also into Dota because most of these little games you still have the actual heroes, like you have Dota 10 versus 10 for instance. This is a fun mode. It doesn't register your game as a normal game, so you can just do whatever you want and have a bit of fun, basically. And it's instead of having 5 versus 5 players, you have 10 versus 10. So it's a bit chaotic, of course, but it's still funny, and you can just have a taste of your own hero playing against humans instead of bots if you prefer. Okay, so now let's look at the main tab that I wanted to give a look today, which is the heroes one. This was a very, very good addition to the Dota game now because Basically, what happened before is if you didn't know exactly what a hero did and you clicked on it and you saw all these options, you couldn't exactly compare it to the general other heroes and see, okay, this hero is a carry, what other carries are there, what strength carries exactly are there, that kind of thing. So now, basically, you have the categories of the game all here. And I'm going to show you one by one the categories. And then you can also just play a bit around this to understand exactly what categories go with what. Because what happens in Dota right now that is very confusing for the newest players is you have all these different classifications, let's say. For instance, the main one that everyone knows, and it's right here on the left, strength, agility, and intelligence. You see you have these three different, let's say, stripes of heroes here. Basically, first the strength ones, then the agility ones, and then the intelligence ones. And most people know what this means, or they just go and they investigate. But this doesn't exactly tell you what the hero is supposed to do or where he's supposed to go. For instance, let's take a look at an example. Let's see strength hero like, let's say, Alchemist. Alchemist basically farms a lot. Ding, 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 the gold is coming in. We all know he's played as a core, right? Okay, is a core, is a carry. What does that exactly mean? It means that he's the one that's supposed to be farming most of the game, trying to get key items to actually man fight the enemy team and take objectives. But this is later on. Early in the game, he's weak. He needs his team to play for him. He needs his team to make space for him. Okay, he's a strength hero. What does that have to do? Has to do with the fact there is a carry. Actually, it has little to do with that. It basically means that his main stat is strength. So if you get strength items, you get a specific effect on him. But that has nothing to do with the fact there is a core. Because, for instance, let's look at, let's say, Treant, or Tusk actually, but let's say Treant. Treant is a hero that is also a strength hero. Does that mean you have to play him as a core? No, he's actually played as a support. And why is that? It's basically because his abilities and the way you can play him to make him more efficient in the game is by putting him in that specific role. So what you have this is categories for what actually the heroes are in essence, basically. What's their main stat? But that doesn't mean that it will affect what role they have. So this is one thing. And then here on the bottom, you will notice that you have carry, support. And these two are the two main, let's say, roles in the game. If you want, you could break this down a bit more. We usually, in higher levels, speak about 5 positions, one per each player, of course. And you have stuff like the complete support and the semi support. You have stuff like on the carry. You can say that it could be a farming core that stays on the safe lane, or an offlane core that basically goes on the offlane. But mainly, you will have a carry that is supposed to farm more, it's supposed to get all the priority in the gold and experience, and you have a support, which will be a bit more starved in that respect, and basically, it will help the carry do his job. Okay, so let's say we want to see in all these heroes which are carries. You click this, and basically you will see it change. Now you can see the carries highlighted. And as I told you, Alchemist is here, it's highlighted, but Treant is here completely not lighted. So basically this tells you these are the only heroes here to be played as a core. Now, core and carry are not exactly the same thing, and I've been asked this before. Basically, again, we're using different categories and definitions. What mostly happens is if you talk about a carry and a support, you're talking about their role in the game, as in support makes space in the early game, is completely starved. Carry carries the late game and is supposed to be more passive in the beginning. And then, if you want, you can also throw in this something like a space creator, for instance. That doesn't mean that these heroes are not cores. Basically, a core is every hero that has a position where it is awarded some degree of priority over others. And basically, you call a core the 3 highest positions. Usually, what would happen in a normal game is you have 2 cores, one goes into the safe lane farming, the other one goes mid. Then you have 2 supports, which one of them will probably be in the safe lane, babysitting the main core, and the other will be roaming around trying to get kills. And then you will have the hero that's left, which will be sitting at offlane, basically. And that offlane hero is also called a core, because what happens in that lane is he's also going to get the main gold and everything is alone, right? So that also makes sense. But the thing is, even if he gets someone there to help him, like the roaming support, that doesn't mean that the roaming support will take his last hits. No, is the core. So basically, it means is the one rewarded with priority. So you can talk about carries and core. Carry and core are not exactly the same thing, but you can almost use it as a synonym, basically. Okay, so now I have the carries highlighted. What if you want to see just the support? You will have to click on carry again to make it this is highlighted or whatever you want to call it and click the support. And why is this? Because if you want to actually see heroes that can be played as both, you can click both at the same time. And it will give you all this option of heroes that actually are completely fine as both carries and supports. It only depends on the way you play them and the item builds and item builds and skill builds that you choose for them. So now, as you can see, we have a very good example of this right now, which is Mirana. Mirana was usually played as a support because she was very weak as a carry. She couldn't cope with other carries in terms of farm, in terms of right-click damage, and her spells were not exactly carry late game spells. But what happened was Aghanims for her was introduced in the game, and it gave her this amazing spell, extra spell, which is Starstorm, a double Starstorm that is automatic. If you want to see more about that, you just go and you research the hero. But basically, what happened was suddenly Mirana was able to actually dish an incredible amount of damage and also farm way better than she could before. So suddenly she was started to be playing as this core carry on the mid lane. But if you want, you can still play her exactly as you did before. You can do this Mirana support that goes around on the map, trying to get kills through her arrow. So she's here highlighted as both a carry and as a support, which is pretty cool because this way you can also research into this, right? And most of these heroes will kind of function like that. Of course, don't forget that this is also very meta dependent, and this is a decision that Valve did. So basically, for instance, Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger is not played as a support at all right now by any kind of higher level player because everyone knows that she needs too much things to actually be worth it. She needs experience, she needs gold, she needs this amount of items to be useful. So you will never play her in a support role if you can avoid that. But she was played as a support some years ago, so the game still registers her like that, which is fine. Well, let's see it again. Let's look just at the carries now. Because once you have the carries here, you will get the other categories, which is also pretty cool, because usually we don't talk about this. And you will see them here in the second list. You have Nuker, Disabler, Jungler, Durable, Escape, Pusher, and Initiator. These categories basically tell you what the hero is kind of supposed to be doing, besides the fact that he's a carry. Okay, he's a carry, but how does exactly he carries the game? It doesn't mean that you only are one of these. You can be both at the same time or more than two. Let's look at one by one. Nuker, for instance. Let's click Nuker. Basically, what nuker means is you are a hero that has this capacity of dealing this amount of damage in a short period of time. So what we say is you nuke your enemies down. This also happens usually through what we call the magic bursts of damage. As you should know by now, you have two types of damage here, the physical or the magical in Dota. You also have pure, but let's skip this for another lesson. Right now, let's look just at the fact that basically you can dish a very big amount of damage in a short period of time, regardless of the type of damage. So heroes like that would be, for instance, Slag, which is very famous right now. Basically, Slag has these spells that allow him to jump on someone, leash to that person, and do this amount of damage that's so quick that most heroes will just die to it immediately, and they won't have enough time to react. And he does this through a mix of his own spells and his physical damage, because he's a right clicker in the end. On the other hand, you have here some heroes that are not right clickers at all, like let's say Lina. Lina is completely magical damage until she gets an axe for ulti, and what happens is she basically bursts her enemies down with this amount of immense damage that's magical that happens in a very short succession of time if she uses all her spells. So that is what we call a nuker. If you are not a nuker, if you are, let's say, for instance, I will take this off so we can look at them. If you are, for instance, let's say a drow. Drow isn't exactly a nuke hero because what Drow does is she literally tries to right click you until you die, and this takes some amount of time. She has no spell that gives you this immediately amount of damage. She basically just has spells that help her control heroes around her and click them. So she is not a nuker. Okay, but is she a disabler for instance? What does a disabler mean? A disabler is all the kind of hero that has a disable. And disable would be basically a control ability, an ability that allows you to control the enemies. There are a lot of different disables that have very specific mechanics, so I would counsel you to just go and read something on the matter if you want to go into deeper details, because you can just read it, it's better. But basically, two very good examples of disables would be stuns and silences. What happens when you silence a hero? The best hero to give an explanation on this would be Silencer. Silencer, as the name can say, basically silences his enemies. And what that means is his enemies won't be able to cast any spells at all. Silencer is not the only hero with this ability, of course. There are a lot of heroes that have different silences. If you are silenced as a hero, you can't cast spells, but you can use your items and you can still right click. So imagine you silence, for instance, Drow. Doesn't really matter. She's going to keep clicking you to death, which is what she does. But on the other hand, if you silence Slark, which needs to deal that amount of magical damage I told you about, then it's very fucked up, basically, because he can't deal the damage that he wants to, and probably he will need to try to escape, and he can't also because all his escape spells are silenced. Okay, so a silence is a disable. But besides the silences, you also have stuns. Coming back to Alchemist, Alchemist is an example of a hero that has a stun. Basically, he has concoction that he takes some time to prepare and then can stun himself if he doesn't use it on time. But this is a normal stun, and what a stun does basically is it stops your hero from doing anything. Your hero just stays there. He can't use items, he can't use spells, and he can't move nor right click. Is like that for the amount of time of the stun, basically. So we would say that generally having a stun is the best disable on the game. And still, it kind of depends against who you are going. And usually stuns don't last that long precisely because it's such a strong spell on the game. So if you want to see which heroes have any kinds of disables, you click here and you see. An example of a hero that is not highlighted here because it's not a disabler at all, I will show you now, is a core, of course, is Bristleback. Bristleback only has what we call in Dota jargon a soft disable. Basically, it has the goo that it can use on a hero to slow that hero. But the goo doesn't actually do much more, doesn't do anything else besides slowing the hero as disable goes. So basically, anything that will slow an enemy, for instance, we call a soft disable, specifically because of course it helps you to kind of control that hero, but it's still not something that actually makes him unable to do something. So Bristleback wouldn't be a disabler. As you can see, it disappears here on this category. Okay, so let's look now at what junglers are. Basically, a jungler is every hero that can take advantage of the fact that instead of starting on a lane to actually get his gold and experience, he can go directly into the camps on the jungle. If you want to see more on these heroes and how you actually can jungle with them, I counsel you to see also just a video guide on that, because there's a lot of guides on that. And I think besides the heroes that are highlighted here, you can get away with some other heroes jungling. Some of them not exactly level 1, but some also level 1. And that would be interesting for you to check. Also, don't forget that, of course, if you want to see junglers that are both carry and support, you need to keep those options open. So for instance, you do this and you see there's no hero that is carry and support and a jungler. Okay, what about supports that jungle? Oh yeah, you have supports that also can jungle. What about carries? You also have carries that jungle. Okay, so let's quickly look at the other categories. You have here durable. What does durable mean? Durable basically is a hero that has a way of staying alive for longer. If you want a good example of a hero that is not durable, and let me just put this support to make it easy. is Crystal Maiden, basically. R. Supports, not durables. Oh yeah, of course. You can also just click on the actual there's they call it like three different possibilities. What I mean is, if you want any kind type of support, you click here. If you do this, you get heroes that are actually even more supporting than just the general thing. And if you get here, you get complete supports. Heroes that basically almost can't be played as a core at all. Because what they have is this ability to play as a support that you can't really change. So you have this three different options. But this is very subjective. So I wouldn't counsel you to see this. But okay, let's look at. I wanted Crystal Maid as an example because as you should know by now, Crystal Maiden is one of the squishiest heroes in the game and one of my favorites, unfortunately. And she would never appear on a thing that's called durable. But that doesn't mean there aren't supports that aren't durable. A very good example is Ogre. Ogre right now has a very healthy mana pool and armor. So basically, it takes a lot of resources to actually kill an Ogre. It's very tough to kill. Let's say that durable is someone that's tough to kill. So you have all these heroes that, because of their specific spells or because of their stats, are very durable. And you can check this here. Okay, now let's look at cores that have escape. What does escape mean? Escape is basically any ability that you can use that allows you to escape situations where we could die. For instance, again, Slark. Slark has two spells that can really, actually three spells that can help him survive because he mostly relies around going into and out of fights. So he has a pounce that just jumps around, makes him change position. It has a Dark Pact that is a dispel, which is another very difficult Dota concept. That means that if you use it correctly, you can take out of you effects like the stuns, which is, as you can imagine, very useful for you. And he also has an ultimate that makes him completely invisible on the map, so it also allows him to escape through that. As I told you before, I'm not going to go into details. If you want to, you can check the cording guide. But basically, what this category of escape means is if you are one of these carries, you have some way that can help survive. Sometimes that way is way more unreliable. For instance, in case of, let's say, Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage his escape is basically his ability to blink. He blinks around. That makes him a difficult target to get. But if you have a disable that is strong enough, as examples that I just gave you, the silence, if you silence him, he can't use blink because that's a spell. If you stun him, he also can't use blink. So basically, you can try to kill him on the amount of time that you are given through your disables. Some heroes, however, don't have any actual way of escape. Let's say that they just sit there and they try to survive with whatever you are doing. For instance, let's give a look again here at Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden has actually Frostbite, which allows her to stop this target for an amount of time. But that's most of the times is not enough because that will not help her actually escape the enemy. If someone is trying to kill her, she can buy a bit of time and she can turn on him, of course, with ulti, etc. But that's not exactly what they call an escape. So let's say that escape are all those heroes that have abilities that allow them to somehow survive. Don't forget that, however, as everything else in this game, and as this is actually just a Valve thing, it might or not be incorrect. For instance, you have here Venge, and I wouldn't say exactly that she has an escape because she has a stun, which many other heroes that have stuns are not here highlighted for that. And then she has the swap, which is her ultimate. And she will not most of the times be using that to actually escape herself. She's played as a support, and she will be using that to save her her teammates. So I wouldn't say she's exactly the prototype of a good escape hero, but then she's here highlighted as such. So take this as always as a general example and try to understand exactly what you're dealing with if you want to know something about a hero. Okay, let's look now at the next one. It's Pusher. Pusher basically means any hero that has any ways of take down objectives as quickly as possible. Objectives in this game, as you should know by now, are towers and Roche also, for instance. So basically, you want to go to the enemy's ancient as fast as possible. All these heroes that are highlighted here have ways that really help you to do that. For instance, let's say Luna. Luna has this passive that allows her extra damage. And then what she also builds for is basically this hero that goes for Manta. the item, and then she just has all these illusions that right click with bounces that bounce to nearby targets. So basically, she takes waves super quick, and then she goes and she takes all your buildings in a fraction of a time. So that's the way she's supposed to be played. Most of the times, pushers are also heroes that try to end the game as quickly as possible because well, it depends. Actually, there are heroes that try to delay it, but usually if you play a push strat, you want to end the game as quickly as possible before your enemies have time to get enough items and to react to your push and to survive. So basically take everything they have and they don't have time to react. You can also just play heroes that are actually very good late game and are very good pushers late game because the way they are played. Luna doesn't need much to push besides the manta that I just told you, but Naga, for instance, Naga actually needs quite some stuff because the way the hero is played right now is you usually will rush a Radiance, which will give you burn damage. And that is applied to all your illusions, and you have illusions because you have a spell that gives you illusions. So what you do is you create your illusions that actually burn people around them, and you spread them across the map. And what every illusion will do while they are alive is to kill all the creeps that come into their way. So they push waves very quickly, and then if you want to also push buildings, you can just create all your illusions. And although the radius doesn't actually help you with that, you will have other items that give you a good right click. So you right click down buildings with all these different Naga illusions. So all these units in the game, just right clicking a building down. But to get to that point, she needs to actually have this amount of farm, and she takes some time to do that. So what happens if you're playing a Naga game is usually the Naga will want the game to last as much as possible, because she can just go and get all the items that she needs to make her illusions stronger. So this would be pushers. And now finally we have the initiators category, which is also very important. This one is basically any hero that can start the team fight. Okay, so you would say, but okay, but can't any hero in the game start a team fight? Well, not actually. If, for instance, let's look at the supports. Crystal Maiden here again is not highlighted. Why? If you try to start a team fight with Crystal Maiden, what will happen most of the times is you will just die immediately. It will basically explode. You don't have any way to actually start a fight, and you're not durable enough to make sure that your teammates have time to react while you kind of distracted and made the enemies come upon you. So she's not a good hero for that. On the other hand, you have heroes like Warlock. Warlock is a very funky support hero that basically has this immense area of effect stun that he can use that creates these golems. Basically, he clicks on this area on the map. That area, everyone gets stunned, and two huge golems are born. So basically, what happens is actually not two, sorry, just one, but well. What happens basically is you will use this the to start any team fight you want with. So if you go into a team fight and you see, okay, heroes of the enemy team are grouped up, you just use this. Heroes will be stunned and basically they will be helpless, and the entire team of yours can just go and congregate on that and initiate on that, you see. So basically that's what would be the definition of an initiator. Usually supports that are initiators, as you can see here, are heroes that have that kind of disables abilities, like Silencer that has the silence that I just told you about, and Warlock that has the stun. On the other hand, you can also have a carry that is an initiator. Usually this it would be the role that I told you about that stays on the offlane most of the times. Basically, let's look at a hero like Slarder. The way that you play Slarder usually would be you go into the offlane, you try to stay alive and get as much XP as possible. You get to a certain level, you start trying to farm your blink. If you get the blink dagger, you can basically blink on an enemy, stun him, and then use your spell that gives them less armor and that makes them completely visible on the map even if they have any kind of invisibility. So as you can imagine, this is very good to initiate a team fight, because if you see this amount of heroes, you can just blink on like 3 heroes that are together in the map. You can stun the 3 at the same time and start hacking them. And your team will have time to come there and initiate a team fight based on that. Because there will be no reaction time from the enemy team because also they're stunned. So that would be the definition of an initiator, and this is a very important role in Dota and in team fights in the game in general. Because usually, if you want to team fight, you need to have very clear what is everyone's game plan. And if you don't have anyone that actually goes into the team fight and that starts it, and your team goes with you, then mostly things will go very, very bad for you because you'll have this a lone hero that wasn't supposed to start, like the lone crystal maiden that we just talked about. She will start a team fight and she will immediately die with no consequences for her team because she has no big disable, nothing that can help her initiate. And then you will be fighting 4 versus 5, which will be very bad for you. So, okay, so this would be the categories that you can see here that are very useful if you want to get a bit more information on what you are exactly supposed to be doing as a hero. Then you have finally the most basic other classification that we have in the game, which will be ranged versus melee heroes. Basically, melee heroes are all that, let's say, hack from very close. Basically, you have this range of attack, and you attack from standing close to the enemy. And if you are a ranged hero, basically you attack them by what the fuck is this? Wait, let me take the initiator out. Okay, this way you see better. There's a lot of ranged heroes in the game, and they attack from a further distance, like the draw ranger, for instance. You just stay there with an arrow. I would say that the best way for you to always remember what melee and ranged means, if you don't play this type of games, is to just think that ranged would be elves, and basically ranged would be anyone that has an arrow in the bow, and that would be ranged because it attacks from a distance. Um, okay, finally, I wanted to just look at the specific heroes because, okay, let's take off all categories, have all heroes here. Imagine that you're learning to play a new hero, and my friend, for instance, was trying to give a look at Lena specifically because he thinks the hero is interesting. So, what you do here in this general menu is you click the icon of the hero. Just click Lena, and this will give you a very good overview of the hero. Basically, you have the hero here. This part is more for the usual players because you can customize her with all these different items that you can buy, and of course the game wants that because money. But you can ignore this and you look at the hero and look at this part that is more interesting for you, which is the my stats. Here, if you click on this, you will see exactly what happens with you and the hero. For instance, me, I'm a terrible Lena. I have 36 games with her, and I have 14 wins and 22 losses. So my win rate is 38%. These are my average. Every time I play a game, for average of all the games I played, I have this. So you see, you can here just give a look at what exactly you are doing with the hero. Besides that, you can also click on the about. And this is perfect because this is the explanation that I was just giving you on the other menu with all the different icons. You can see here the roles that the hero takes. You see, for instance, she's a complete nuker. She has super good nukes. On the other hand, she's a carry, but she's not the hardest of carries, so she just has this little point. On the other hand, she's not an escape, so she has no points on escape because she has nothing that helps her with escape. So this is a very good way of entering into the hero. Besides this, you also have here, right below her name, the different categories, and you can stay here if you want to know exactly what this means. Support. Focus less on amassing golden items, more on using their abilities to gain advantage. Carry. Will become more useful later if they gain a significant gold advantage. Nuker. Quickly kills enemies. Disabler. She has a lot of disables. You see? So it appears here and you can see exactly what the hero is supposed to do. Her main stat also appears here. This would be the stat for intelligence. You have her spells if you want, you over the mouse and you can see what her spells do. And finally, and this is also very, very good for you, would be the demo of the hero. If you click on this, basically a little mini game will also start where you can just see your hero and use all the spells and see how she behaves in game. This is also useful, of course, if you want to just check your items or something on your hero because you want it to look pretty, because that helps. Let's be honest. Okay, so this would be all here. On my stats, you also have another option that I really like, which is the compare to all heroes here. So basically, you click on my stats, and then you have here, compare to all heroes on the right. It's very little. You click on this, and you will go straight to this page that has your stats. And this page is really good for you because basically, you'll have all the heroes that you ever played here on the left, and you can see how much games you played, what your wins and losses, what the win rate is, and then some averages for what you're doing at those games. So basically, for instance, I can see that my most played hero, of course, is Crystal Maiden. I have this good win rate, 60% win rate with her. And you can see, for instance, that I have an average of 5 kills, 7 deaths, and 16 assists with her. And this would be very good because she's a support hero, right? So I'm not supposed to be carrying her. But on the other hand, like I just told you, Lena, for instance, I'm a terrible Lena because she's a core and I have a 38% win rate with her, while my averages are 5 kills, 2 deaths, and 10 assists. There's also here the gold and the XP if you want to take a look at that. This will help you just to give a look at these things. For instance, if you want to say, okay, this is my total most played hero. What's my least played hero? Arc Warden, yay! 0 games, of course. So this is the main stats. You can also access this through another way that is very useful. Let's go to the complete main page. If you want to go through this, you click My Profile. And here on the when you have your stuff, you have your recent games, you have a hero challenge. You can also click actually your teammates here, and you see people that you've been playing games with, how much your win rate is with them, and then just actually check the player if you want to click here, for instance. You see, you just check this friend, for instance. Okay, besides this, you have here on the top profile, trophies, tickets for tournaments that you want to watch, and stats. So another way for you to check your stats instead of going through the whole heroes here thing that I told you about is you just go to your profile and then you click here on stats. And if you click on here, you come also to this general page. So basically, I would say this is the most important thing you need to know about this game. If you want to start, I will repeat basically, I think you should go into the learn page, do all the challenges that you have here, including the mechanics one, because it's really quick to do and you just get a general sense of what you're supposed to be doing in the game. Then I would say choose a hero that you like for whatever reason. If you like this hero, just go here and you take a look at the hero. Let's say, okay, yeah, like Lena. Okay, go to Lena. Check not her stats because you shouldn't have them, but check what she does. Check what she's about. Go to the demo hero, and then try her in an actual game. This will give you a very good sense of what you have been doing. Okay, and this would be all, guys. I hope this video will be helpful to anyone that's just entered the game. I know it's a bit funky for us because for most players, you're just so used to the interface that you don't really think about it. But for new players, especially if you didn't see Reborn yet, this will help you know where you can get stuff. If you want more details regarding stuffs like how to actually do parties and what channels are or something like that, I would say just Google it because you'll probably easily get that information. Okay, so good luck and have fun in your games, guys.